The breaking news in the last hour is that Chelsea have appointed Liam Rosenior as their new head coach on a 6-year deal. He joins from Strasbourg and will take charge of Chelsea for the first time in the next few days. I am extremely humbled and honoured to be appointed head coach of Chelsea Football Club. Rosenior said, "This is a club with a unique spirit and a proud history of winning trophies. My job is to protect that identity and create a team that reflects these values in every game we play as we continue winning trophies. To be entrusted with this role means the world to me, and I want to thank all involved for the opportunity and faith in undertaking this job. I will give everything to bring the success the club deserves." OK, Jay, so just recapping this big news that broke as we came on air, really, what do you make of this appointment?
Well, first and foremost, I think Chelsea need to get behind their new manager. They need to support him. They need to encourage him. But I feel like, yes, the job may have come a bit soon for Rosenior, but he's been given this opportunity. He's going to relish it. And like you said there, he's going to work hard every day to make the club, you know, title contenders at the end of the day. And that's what everyone wants, the fans, the ownership, the players. I like Rosenior. I think he's a breath of fresh air. I think saying that he's a yes man does him a huge disservice, because I just feel like Chelsea want a manager they can have a conversation with. But I think with Maresca, it was very much like, no, this is my way. This is the way I'm going to do it. You know, and maybe it's because he won trophies at Chelsea and he is successful. But ultimately, I think it's a good appointment. I like the way Chelsea are giving the opportunities to young managers, young black managers as well, which I think is good for football.
Well, Paul has been in touch, sent us a very short voice note, this one.
Never mind top four. We'll be bottom four with that appointment.
Come on, mate.
I don't think
he's having a laugh. He is. I'm sorry. That's just ridiculous. Why is that?
I mean, I think bottom four. I think that was. I mean, they're not going to be bottom four, obviously.
They're not even.
Can you understand the question marks against this appointment?
No, I can't understand it. You know, and just because you don't have huge success at the highest level doesn't mean you're a bad manager. You know, Guardiola, who's one of arguably the best manager ever, he was in the Barcelona youth system, and then he came into Barcelona, and then he strove and got better and better.
That is a way a lot of managers get their chance, by being at a club and getting the job while they're at the club. That is quite a normal thing.
Yeah, but I mean, technically, he's under
so normal.
Yeah, but he's under the umbrella of Chelsea.
At Hull, they finished 7th in the Championship, which was actually quite good, but it wasn't deemed good enough for their owner at the time.
But that was to do with form. That was to do with philosophy.
It was
and attacking football.
Lack of. The owner wanted them to play in a more attacking manner.
Okay, but he plays possession-based football.
They changed it, and it didn't work immediately, by the way. So that's a good thing for Rosenior there. But 7th in the Championship, Ligue 1, 7th. They're doing well in Europa.
But took over from Vieira. Hold on. Took over from Patrick Vieira, that was 13th.
Yeah. There's lots of that's another positive. I'm giving positives here for Rosenior. A lot of positives, but it's not Chelsea. It's not a Premier League title chase.
But would you say that Arteta could have come from being a coach at Man City and taken Arsenal where they've gone?
Well, the other argument there is that Arteta has played at the top level.
Yeah, but Arteta has coached. Just because he's played,
and
it doesn't
mean
mean
involved in Manchester City, who again winning
just because
trophies.
You play at the highest level, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the best coach. We've seen that recently with top players. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be good coaches. And on the other hand, you know, there's people like Mourinho that never ever played football, but he was one of the best managers ever. So I think that argument is ridiculous, and I feel like this job may have come a bit too soon, but he's still a good man. I'm sure he'll be a good manager. I think he'll be a good coach. I think his most challenging thing at Chelsea will be managing the egos. I'm not sure that the players will look at someone like Rosenior and say,
because he hasn't
I respect him straight away. Pardon?
Because he hasn't played at the top level?
No, I don't think it's necessarily that. I feel like maybe it's his CV. He hasn't managed a top club. They might look at it that way. But again, I don't think it should be like that. They're a young team. He's a young manager. I think, if anything, he can speak to them and understand them a bit better than someone that's in their 60s.
Right. Okay, well, Sky Sports are partnered with Finalysis to discover true fan opinion. To have your say, download the Finalysis app, scan the QR code here for more details. We're joined by Chelsea fan Charlie Patrick. Charlie, we're seeing a lot of you lately because your club is in the news so much, right? It was last week that you rightly predicted that Maresca would go, and you rightly predicted that Liam Rosenior would be his successor. What do you think of it?
Well, it's the worst kept secret in football, wasn't it? It was the only choice, despite people saying there was a shortlist and whatnot. There was no shortlist. It was always going to be Rosenior. It was a safe appointment. It was the easiest appointment. It is what it is. You know, we've got no choice but to get behind the manager.
Is it a safe appointment? Is it a safe appointment?
Well, safe in terms of they didn't have to do anything. It was literally go to Strasbourg. We own that club. We'll take their manager partway through the season. They didn't bother looking at anyone else. So that's the most disappointing thing for me is that Chelsea should be looking for the top managers, for the best managers to lead this project.
Who is the best managers?
But what I mean is, though, Jay, like you look at, for example, right, should Chelsea Football Club in 2026, you've just won the Club World Cup, you've had that success, and you're going for a manager who's got Hull City,
Who cares about the Club World Cup?
No,
the Club World Cup, who really cares about that? The only reason why teams care about it is financial reasons.
No, but it's a trophy to win, right? And you had a big opportunity to build on that.
So is the Community Shield.
No, but
do you care about that?
It's not the same at all. It's not the same at all.
He hasn't won the Community Shield either, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying, do you care about that? It's a trophy to win.
No, I don't care about Community Shield, but the point is that Chelsea should be looking at the top level managers, right? And it's a big shame that, well, I don't know what's worse, the fact that we don't want to look for the top managers or the fact that the top managers aren't interested in coming.
Do you think Enrique would come to Chelsea?
No, because we had a chance to get him before Pochettino was appointed.
So and who's top manager?
Top managers, but you know, I'm looking at people like, I'm not saying you can get him halfway through the season, but Chelsea should be looking at managers like Unai Emery's. They should be looking at the best of the best. They should be going, Chelsea, right, should be able to go and look at any manager within reason and say, we want you to come to this football club. But A, they're not doing it, and B, those managers that are the best of the best wouldn't be seen at this football club working under this ownership. So Rosenior has got this job, on merit to a certain extent, because he is a promising manager, but he's got it because he works under the umbrella. That's the main reason.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I feel like Rosenior is a promising manager. You know, Chelsea's model at the moment is signing young, promising players. Why can't they do the same with a manager? I mean, realistically, Maresca done well at Leicester, but before that he was a coach as well.
Yes, but at the top level at Man City, though.
At Manchester City, learning under Pep Guardiola. Then he went to Leicester and won the championship, right?
Do you guys understand that there's friendship in football, right? You do know that.
Yeah, of course.
So, like, when managers go to clubs, they want to bring their friends, right? They want to do that. It just happens, whether you like it or not. They don't necessarily bring the best person for the job. They bring the players, the coaches they get on best with.
Yeah, but that's a problem in itself, though. It shouldn't be a mates football club. It should be.
That's football.
I know it is, but this is the best for the job, right? And you've got a young, inexperienced squad who is crying out for leadership, who's crying out for a bit more of a senior voice, right? And you look to the touchline, you've got someone that's very, very inexperienced. Like, for me, you can't have it both ways, right? You either have an experienced manager with a young group, or you've got a senior squad, an experienced squad, with a slightly younger manager on the bench where those senior pros can help him get through those difficult moments. Chelsea have got inexperienced squad, inexperienced manager. They've got inexperience from the top of the football club to the bottom of the football club, and that for me is a big problem. Obviously, he's come in, he's got a brilliant opportunity here. He has got good credentials, he's got skills that can translate well, that could potentially make him a good Chelsea manager. He's walking into a situation where we've got a Carabao Cup semi-final, the FA Cup run starting this weekend, and we're 5th place in the league with Champions League very much still up for grabs. So he's coming into a situation where he can achieve stuff and where he can do well, but he has to hit the ground running. In my personal opinion, he should be backed in the January window. He won't be backed in January. It will be make do with what you've currently got right now, and kind of hope. You
don't think no players will go in the January transfer window? None.
No, none. Because under Maresca there was going to be no investment, and now whether they'll change their tack slightly because the new managers come in, I don't see that being the case. Chelsea have been crying out for a centre back. You see Man City.
I think if anything,
the new manager normally does get a signing or two when they first come in, just to prove the backing. We have got a voice note here, by the way, from Michael. Let's see what he's saying.
I think he's pretty good. He's from London. He's 41. But people need to understand where Arteta was before he signed for Arsenal. He was only a coach at Man City. This guy's actually had 150 games in managerial experience.
That's it. Again, I completely
There are
agree with
arguments
that
both
one.
ways. I think
I completely
it's a fair
agree with
point.
that one. And
No, it is a fair
I think
point.
Chelsea, in terms of Chelsea, signings, I genuinely think, okay, for me, Rosenior I think it's a good appointment. I think he's a promised manager. Let's put that to one side. Chelsea need to sign experienced players. They need some experience going through the spine of the team. And at the moment, you know, pretty much all of them are young players, young signings for the future, or to sell them and make money in the future.
But that's the problem with the whole model, though, Jay, is that everything's based on a gamble. Everything's based on players coming good as certain sets of data. So everything's based on a gamble. Rosenior becoming as good as what the data or what their analysis is telling them they might come be. There's like everything is a massive gamble at Chelsea right now. There's very few guarantees. The only guarantees you're getting are Reece James, Cucurella, Enzo, Caicedo, Cole Palmer to a certain extent. Everything else, you've got a core of 4 or 5 players, and then everything else around it is A, not good enough, or B, just based on a massive gamble. And that, for me, is not the right way to be running a top-level football club.
Just quickly, would you say then, just a quick yes or no, would you say that Arteta was a gamble?
Yes, but it was a calculated gamble in terms of he'd been working under Pep Guardiola, learned from the best. I think...
It does make a difference when you've been at that club, Jay. Whether you like it or not, it does make a difference when you've been at that club. It does. And Arteta had been at Arsenal, as well as coaching at Manchester City in a very successful Manchester City side. I don't think you can compare the Arteta and Rosenior ones.
I know this.
You've got a chance to answer.
I know this, right? Rosenior's got more experience as a manager than Arteta.
True.
Right?
Agreed,
but
yes.
Nevertheless, Arsenal took a gamble, brought Arteta in, and he's been absolutely fantastic ever since. What's to say that Rosenior can't do the same thing?
No one's saying he can't do the same thing.
No one's saying
well,
that.
everyone's negative about this.
No, we're not. We're making both
There's a negative
sides.
cloud about this. I mean, you've come on here and you're kind of negative about it.
Yeah, because we should be striving to be doing much better. This is Chelsea Football Club. This is not like, we're not a Brighton or a Crystal Palace or these other clubs where you can bring a young manager in, let them develop and take the next step. We can't be having managers using Chelsea as a stepping stone club. This should be the pinnacle of your career. Chelsea shouldn't be bringing managers in to develop them and then move them on. I'm concerned that we're doing the same thing with managers as we're doing with players. Bringing young players in, selling them on for a profit, bringing young managers in, developing them, and then allowing the bigger clubs to take them. We can't be doing that.
Yeah, okay. We are just giving both sides here, Jane. We are giving both sides to it. Okay, Charlie, great to speak to you again.
Thanks,
Thank
Charlie.
you.
No, guys, thank you very much. Take care.
We start, though, with the day's big breaking news. Chelsea have confirmed the appointment of Liam Rosenior as their new head coach on a 6.5-year deal. Rosenior arrives from Strasbourg on a contract that runs until 2032. So let's get more. We can go live to the Chelsea training ground, speak to our reporter Gail Davis. Now, Gail, very good afternoon to you. So Rosenior told Strasbourg this morning that he'd agreed to move to Chelsea. It was then announced by the club shortly after that. Just bring us up to speed. What has Rosenior had to say?
Yeah, very good afternoon to you. Since Enzo Maresca's departure on New Year's Day, he has been the favourite, hasn't he, to take over. And finally this morning, that confirmation came. Rosenior did a press conference in Strasbourg, talking about how excited he was about the prospect of this job. He said, "I deeply believe in teamwork, unity, togetherness, and working for one another. And those values will be at the heart of everything we do. They will be the foundation of our success. I'm excited to work with this extremely talented group of players and staff to build strong connections on and off the pitch and to create an environment where everyone feels united and driven by the same goal. There is a real hunger to win, and I will give everything every single day to help this team compete and win at the very highest level, to make everyone connected and proud to be a part of Chelsea Football Club. I want our fans to be proud of who we are and what we represent in every single game that we play. They are the soul of this enormous, historic and huge football club. I cannot wait to meet you. I cannot wait to get started." So that was in Strasbourg this morning. Having been at Chelsea yesterday, having talked and having actually spoken to the interim manager, Callum McFarlane, late last night. He is expected here today at some point this afternoon to meet the players. They're out training back after yesterday off, having played Manchester City, and it's expected that he'll be in the stands tomorrow night when Chelsea take on Fulham at Craven Cottage. And from there, well, it feels like a little bit a little bit of sort of see what happens in terms of Callum McFarlane and how he hands over and when he hands over. But Rosenior will be in charge for the cup game against Charlton at the weekend.
And Gail, it is Callum McFarlane that will be in charge for that game against Fulham. Has he had anything to say about Rosenier's appointment?
Yeah, strange one for him, isn't it? He had that unbelievable day on Sunday, an unbelievable few days since Maresca left, called up from the under-21s, prepared to take the side against Manchester City away, against Pep, had everything that went with it, including a very, very good performance and a 1-1 draw. So he was back today. He is taking charge of the team against Fulham tomorrow night. And as I briefly mentioned, he has had the chance to speak to Rosenior, and this is what he had to say. You had a chance to talk to him. Did you meet him briefly yesterday? How does it look tomorrow night in terms of who's going to be where doing what?
I spoke to Liam briefly last night. He's obviously really excited about taking the role. Just a brief conversation. So my understanding is he's going to be at Cobham later on today at some point. So I'm sure I'll catch up with him more on that. And the second part of your question, yeah, I've been told I'm leading the game tomorrow. So to try and do as best a job as we can, as we have done, and yeah, give him the 3 points to move on and build from.
Obviously, having taken a point at Man City against Pep, did you give him any advice on the phone when you spoke to him last night?
No.
When you have that conversation, what are the words in terms of what he's coming into? Would you say to him? Will you say to him this afternoon?
Yeah, the conversation was really brief. Probably keep most of that private if we can. I wouldn't be giving him any advice. Liam's an accomplished coach. He's had a really good start to his career. So I'm sure he's got his own ideas and things that he wants to attack. So I'm here to support him with whatever he needs in the best way I can. But I won't be giving him any advice.
Your paths ever crossed before?
Sorry?
Have your paths ever crossed before? Like, if you've done coaching, do you know him? Friends of friends? Because it's normally sometimes throws up things like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, obviously I was at Southampton when he was at Hull, and so other than watching our first team against their first team, which he done really well in those games and they played some really good football, that's the only interaction I've had. I'm sure all young English coaches from an academy background will be in some way, regardless of who you support, rooting for Liam. It is really inspirational for young academy English coaches to see that someone get that job of that profile, and we all hope he does really well.
Yeah, I sat down with him actually one-to-one afterwards, and you'll hear that throughout the afternoon. And I asked him about this idea that Rosenior arrives without a track record in the Premier League, without a track record at the highest level. And he spoke about his experience of coming into a squad where there are World Cup winners and huge names, and actually how humbling it was to see the reaction of the players, how they just got on with it, how they bought into what he was trying to do, and how that narrative might not play out. Also really interesting to speak to him about the structure, about how Strasbourg and Chelsea is so aligned in what is expected of a head coach. And he says he thinks that it will make a seamless transition. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few days. Callum McFarlane will be getting ready to prepare the under-21s for a game against Crystal Palace on Thursday night, whereas Liam Rosenior will be getting charge of getting ready to play out his first Chelsea game, and that will be against Charlton in the FA Cup.
Gail, for now, thank you very much. Well, let's get more on this. Our chief correspondent, Kavi Solokol, alongside me now. Kavi, let's start by talking about the contract, because Dave Sexton was the last person to manage Chelsea's men's side for 6 consecutive years between 1967 and 74. Why have they given Liam Rosenior such a long contract? And we will talk about the name as well, because you're not having it.
First of all, good knowledge there to bring up Dave Sexton. He was a fantastic manager back in the 60s and 70s. But the reason he's got a 6-year contract is because Chelsea want to have stability going forward. Now, Enzo Maresca had a 5-year contract plus an option of another year. Now, the bottom line is all these contracts have break clauses in them. So I know from the outside looking in, it's easy to criticise Chelsea and say they're absolutely crazy giving him a 6-year contract, because if they sack him, then it's going to cost them a fortune. It's not going to cost them a fortune, because these kind of contracts have break clauses in them. The important thing is to have stability going forward. That's why he's got such a long-term contract. But I'm sure if things don't work out, there are ways that both sides can extricate themselves from that situation. Talking about Enzo Maresca's contract, the reason you want to give managers a long-term contract and players as well, because you don't want to have the situation where they're constantly coming to you asking for a new contract, asking for a pay rise as soon as they have some success. And there have been suggestions that after Enzo Maresca won the Club World Cup in the summer, he was very, very keen to get a new Chelsea contract. And Chelsea's position was, you've got 5 years left on your contract already. We're not giving you a new deal.
And what about the job that he has? Because will he be allowed to get on with the job with little interference?
Well, he's going to be the head coach. He's not going to be the manager. He can't just do what he wants. He has to fit into the team behind the team, and he's already done that at Strasbourg. I think the important thing for him going forward is that he has to demonstrate that he can do certain things better than Enzo Maresca was doing them. So, for instance, his relationship with the media, the way he conducts himself in news conferences, he has to be on message. Also, his relationship with the medical department. We know there was a lot of friction between Enzo Maresca and the medical department because the medical department were telling him which players could play, which players couldn't play, and Enzo Maresca wasn't always happy with the advice he was getting there. Also, of course, he's got to win the fans over. Enzo Maresca, I think, in the end, quite a lot of Chelsea fans liked him, but his relationship with the fans wasn't always perfect. I think it's a risky appointment, but knowing Chelsea fans as I do, they will get behind him and give him a chance to prove that he is good enough for this opportunity that he's been given.
OK, Cabby, for now, thank you. Next time I speak to you, I do want you to get confirmation of this Rosenior. Have we been saying it wrong the whole time?
What I'm saying is that when I was growing up, his father, Liam's father, Leroy, was one of my heroes. Fantastic striker, played for QPR, played for West Ham, and I always called him Leroy Rosenior.
Yeah. But were we getting it wrong the whole time? That's the question I have for you. Next time you're on set, I want the answer.
We'll get to the bottom of that.
Okay, brilliant stuff. Thank you.
Leandro Trossard proved to be the perfect antidote to Arsenal's attacking frustrations, following Mikel Arteta's candid remarks about Victor Gyökeres. Gyökeres may have struggled to truly impress since his summer arrival at Arsenal, but over the weekend, there was finally a glimpse of what he is capable of. More importantly, Trossard showed exactly why he could be the key to unlocking the Swedish striker's full potential during Arsenal's hard-fought 2-1 victory over Wolves at the Emirates Stadium. The 31-year-old winger injected fresh energy into Mikel Arteta's side on Saturday night and helped breathe new life into the Gunners' attack. Shortly after replacing Gabriel Martinelli in the second half, Arsenal found the breakthrough. While Trossard did not directly contribute to either the opening goal or the dramatic stoppage time winner, his influence on the game was undeniable. Trossard took control of proceedings, dictating the tempo and pulling the strings down the left flank. Time and again, he dismantled Wolves' compact defensive setup, releasing Miles Lewis-Skelly into space, picking out Declan Rice on the edge of the box, and crucially, feeding Gyökeres with intelligent, well-timed passes. Operating as a creative hub, the Belgian showcased his playmaking qualities, delivering sharp, purposeful distribution. His introduction completely shifted the momentum of the match, and for the first time in weeks, Arsenal's $64 million striker briefly looked like a genuine threat. Before Trossard's arrival, Gyökeres endured a frustrating and ineffective outing in attack. In fact, the Belgian was the only player to carve out a clear-cut opportunity for the 27-year-old forward, slipping a simple yet incisive ball in behind the Wolves' backline. Gyökeres controlled the pass, beat his defender, and aimed for the far post. Wolves goalkeeper Sam Johnstone was beaten, but the Swedish striker saw his effort agonizingly drift just wide. If Arteta truly wants to get the best out of Gyökeres, then granting Trossard a more prominent role in the starting 11 could be the solution. Speaking to TNT Sports after the win, the Arsenal manager openly addressed the challenges facing his marquee signing. "It's a collaboration between the two," Arteta explained. "He was in some really good positions, but the ball didn't arrive quickly enough, accurately enough, or with the precision a number 9 needs to score." But his commitment and intention were there, and we have to keep pushing. Arteta was equally vocal in defending Gyökeres prior to the match, urging patience with the striker's adaptation to English football. "There was huge expectation because we were signing a proven goal scorer, probably with the best statistics in Europe," Arteta said. "But he's coming into a different league, the most demanding league in the world. What happens if he doesn't score in 5 or 6 games? That was the only question I asked him. How are you going to react if you don't score in 5 or 6 matches? Can you handle that? And what about the next 100 games? That's what people need to see. The sample size is still very small, so leave him alone. Let him do what he does best. Support him, and I'm convinced things will come good." That message from Arteta resonated beyond the Emirates. In the days following the Wolves' victory, the debate around Gyökeres intensified among pundits, supporters, and former players. While some questioned whether Arsenal's record signing is truly suited to the Premier League's pace and physicality, others pointed to the structural issues around him rather than the striker himself. Much of the post-match analysis focused on Arsenal's chance creation and balance in the final third. The Wolves game highlighted a recurring theme this season. Gyökeres often makes the right movements, but the service into dangerous areas has been inconsistent. When Trossard entered the match, that problem briefly disappeared. Arsenal suddenly looked more fluid, more unpredictable, and far better equipped to supply a traditional number 9. Former players speaking on television and radio were quick to note the contrast. With Trossard drifting inside and linking play, Arsenal's attacking shape became more compact, allowing Gyökeres to stay higher up the pitch and occupy central defenders. That, in turn, created space for midfield runners like Rice and Ødegaard to arrive late in the box. It was a glimpse of an attacking formula that Arsenal have rarely sustained this season. The reaction from supporters has been equally divided. While frustration with Gyökeres' goal return remains, there is growing appreciation for his work rate, physical presence, and willingness to press from the front. Many fans now see Trossard as the missing connector, the player who can translate Gyökeres' movement into genuine scoring opportunities. Internally, Arteta faces an important decision. Persisting with a front line that isolates Gyökeres risks damaging the striker's confidence, especially with tougher fixtures on the horizon. At the same time, promoting Trossard to a regular starting role could mean reshuffling wide positions and reducing Martinelli's minutes, a bold call that would not come without consequences. Yet football at the highest level often comes down to chemistry rather than reputation. The Wolves match suggested that Arsenal's most expensive signing may not need drastic changes to his own game, but rather the right supporting cast around him. If Arteta embraces that idea, Gyökeres' slow start could soon be remembered as nothing more than a difficult adjustment period. For now, the pressure remains. Goals will ultimately define Gyökeres' Arsenal career, and patience in North London is never unlimited. But with Trossard offering clarity, creativity, and calm in possession, Arsenal may finally have found the key to unlocking their striker and turning promise into consistent production.